This video is about therapy, finding the right therapist, especially when you're looking for someone who's into meditation, spirituality. Because, even myself as an ongoing psychotherapist, I've seen so many bad therapists and people complaining about it. So if you are in the same situation and wondering what it is about, what is really the most important traits, this video is for you. And I will come right to the point. There are many different schools in therapy: psychodynamic, CBT, humanistic, body-oriented or approaches, and so on. But the school of therapy is secondary. What it's all about is the presence of the therapist. The presence of the therapist is the medicine. And most therapists treat the mind. But you are much more than only the mind. So you need to address the whole. And someone can only do this to this extent as they know themselves. If you only know yourself as this little thing, as the mind, you can only address this part. But if you have much more access, you can also, or the client can access this space through the therapist. So it's about energy, about the presence, or the consciousness level. And Ramdas used to say, therapy is only as high the therapist is. That it's what it's about. It's about the stillness beyond the words. And this is what most of us, even if we're not aware of it, crave as people and also as patients in a therapy. We crave to not to be fixed, but really to be seen. This is much more worth than 1,000 coping strategies. Just to be seen by a therapist who doesn't recoil from our rawness, but sits with it quietly. And especially if you've done a reasonable amount of work on yourself and you had a therapist and it didn't work out, the question is, did the therapist really match you at this point? And if he or she should do this, they need to have done the same amount of work on themselves. In terms of psychotherapy, but also in terms of consciousness levels. So a therapist can lift you up or not, depending on where he or she is standing and where you are standing. And when a therapist is established in an ongoing practice, a serious practice of mindfulness, then the process of therapy is just an extension of this. And you as a client will profit from this. And this is when I often hear people that say, yeah, therapy was bullshit, it didn't work, and they end up working with like spiritual counselors and so on. So the question is what you're looking for. And especially nowadays when it's all about growth and achieving more, we might come with this mindset into therapy. But sometimes it's not just about growing more. It's much more about softening into what is already here. And it's not really growing, but expanding beyond what has been there before, and into what is. And in such an environment, certain wounds can be healed much more quickly, or you might become aware of them much more quickly. Yeah. So if you're interested in those kind of things, make sure to check out my other videos. And yeah, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Much love.